What's going on, growers? It's James Prigioni coming to you live from Jersey. Today, me and Tucker are going to show you a method for trellising tomatoes that makes everything easier, even harvesting. It's an absolute game changer. Let's go! Tomatoes are easily my favorite crop to grow in the garden. The only downside is trellising and tying them can take a decent amount of time and effort, but this method prevents that. This tool right here is called a tomato roller or roller hook. It has a UV resistant polypropylene twine on a spool with a quick release mechanism. So if I pull on this string like this, it stays where it is, but if I press this quick release button, it allows it to unspool just like that. You may be thinking, why not just use a string? What's even the point of the spool? Well, the spool serves a super important function. When you're growing indeterminate tomatoes up a single stem, they will get very tall. I have had so many tomato plants reach far past 10 feet tall, and trying to harvest them without a ladder is almost impossible. But this changes all of that. As the tomato plants grow and start to reach the top of the trellis, you can press the quick release button. This will release more twine and drop the tomato down. This is known as lowering and leaning. Tomatoes are vines, so they will take well to this approach. So instead of the tomato just growing straight up, it will lean, drastically reducing its height. This way, where the tomatoes are fruiting is within reach. This makes it much safer and easier to both harvest and work on the tomatoes when you're doing it from the ground. Let me show you how I set up my roller hooks in my trellis because they're technically supposed to be used in a greenhouse. And I'll also show you the other tool that really ties this whole method together, and it will make you wish you were growing tomatoes like this since you started growing. To use the roller hooks, first I built a simple tomato trellis out of one piece of wood. Then what I did was I planted my tomatoes 1 square foot apart. Next, I mark on the top of my trellis directly above where the tomatoes are planted. Then I take a piece of wood that I cut at 1.5 inches, center it on my mark, and then mark both sides of it. I do that because I will use these screw hooks to hang the roller hooks from. I pre-drill a hole at the center of each of my marks. This way I can put the screw hooks in. I make sure to leave the right one turned towards me because it will make it easier for me to put the roller hook in. I put one side of the roller hook in just like this, then take my other side and then just turn it in just like that, and then it drops down. Now I unspool my string so I can bring it down and attach it to the tomato plant. I will show you a new piece of the trellis that I added last year and explain why I did, but before I do that, I need to show you the simple, effective, time-saving, and convenient way that I attach my tomatoes to the string. Right here is a tomato clip. These things are one of the main game changers, and they work so well. In the past, I've used cut-up shirts, twine, all different methods for tying up my tomatoes, but this one is by far the best. Let me show you how easy it is to use. Just take your clip, take the back side of it and push it into the string. This will lock it in as it closes. Then just close your clip together and it'll lock in when it snaps just like that. I did it with just one hand. The back of it, when it locks into the string, it'll prevent the clip from sliding up and down the string. And if you want to, you could easily unclip it. Just press the clip in on that side and you could unclip it and then take it back and even reclip it if you need to. When attaching the clips, it's important to put them in the right location. I put it right below the fan leaf, but you'll notice for newer fan leaves, as they start to grow, they're pointed up at a sharper angle. Then over time, the leaf will drop down to about 90 degrees, similar to this leaf down here. So when I put the clips on the plant, I make sure to put it a little bit below the fan leaf. This way, it gives the leaf some space to drop down and it doesn't prevent that from happening. You don't want to put it right up against the top of the leaf, especially on new ones. Typically, I'll put a tomato clip about every 6 inches. You'll notice this is closer than 6 inches, but the idea is you'd rather have too many tomato clips rather than too few. You want to evenly distribute the weight over a bunch of clips from the tomato plant instead of just on a few clips. What I do also is as the tomato gets much heavier, and even if it holds like a bunch of beefsteak tomatoes in one location, I'll add additional clips. So you can really use as many clips as you want. I would say the more the better. You don't want to get crazy with it and use 100 clips on one tomato plant. But again, you want to evenly distribute that weight. And you could always move the clips. Let me show you again. They're so easy to detach. So you could just take this clip off like right here and move it up to here. The reason I want to do that though is because the gap between these leaves is small, so I'd rather have these fan leaves drop down further before I actually drop the clip in. So that's why I put the clip right here. Just like that. The sun isn't out today, but it's still pretty warm. Tuck's getting a little overheated, so he dug himself a little mini hole between the tomatoes. This guy's the beast. He's a real leader of the channel, so we love having him out here. If you guys love seeing Tuck in the videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button. He likes hanging out with us no matter where we're doing work, even if it is between the tomatoes, just hanging out by the trellis. He's always out here. He's always dedicated, because there needs to be someone or something that's always keeping watch for the garden. That's why he's the guardian of the garden. We also wanted to mention to check out some of the merch down at jamesprigioni.com. Grab a t-shirt, Gardening is Life, with the flower of life right on there, and be part of the team. In the future, when your tomatoes get so tall that you have to drop them down and lower and lean them, there may be some clips at the bottom that aren't bearing any weight anymore. So what you can do is just remove those clips from the bottom and just take them off and reuse them at the top, because they're reusable. They're so easy to unclip and then clip into a different location. Last year, I added one more piece to the trellis, and I think it helps a lot. I added this piece of wood at the bottom, then I drilled a hole in it right next to where the tomatoes are. This way I could take my string and tie it to this piece of wood and sort of anchor the string down to this piece of wood. So I'll just like tie it like this, and it helps a lot. I'll explain why right after I'm finished tying this. I do this because when the string is attached to the tomato and not anchored down to the piece of wood, what happens is when the wind blows, the string kind of pulls at the tomato and pulls at the roots of the tomato. But when I tie the string down to the piece of wood and it's anchored to that piece of wood, I can then clip my tomato just like that, and when the wind blows, the string pulls at the anchor down there. So the anchor takes all the pulling instead of the root of the tomato. Also, when the plant is young, if I try to attach the string right to the tomato with the clip just like this, what happens is when the wind blows, the clip can kind of slide up, and then it pinches the fan leaf between the stem just like that. It can also scrape the side of the stem when that happens. As opposed to when I anchor down the string, if the wind blows and it pulls on the string, then it doesn't actually move the clip, and the clip doesn't slide up. It just stays right where it's at. Another thing is, I don't want the string to be super tight. I want it to have a little give to it. This way, when the tomato starts to grow up the string and the wind blows, the tomato and the string can kind of sway with the wind together. If the string was super tight and the wind blew, then the tomato would kind of get whipped around on its own. But when the string has a little give to it, they can kind of move with the wind together. These clips are relatively cheap as well. You can get 200 of them on Amazon for typically about $17, but right now they're on sale and they're like $11.59 for 200 clips. I'll put a link in the description. The roller hooks, I've ordered these from Amazon as well, and they're relatively good, but I've also ordered ones from Johnny Seeds, and the ones from Johnny Seeds seem like they're higher quality than the Amazon ones, and they're not that much more expensive. So you can decide which ones you want to get. I'll leave a link in the description for the ones from Amazon and also for the ones from Johnny Seeds. When growing tomato plants in this method, it's simple, it's effective, it saves time, and the plants just grow so well. I have 20 tomato plants growing in 20 square feet here, and I even have garlic growing between those. It saves time because clipping the tomatoes is so quick and so easy to do. Like this tomato right here, this cherry bomb, all I have to do is take my clip, bring it up, clip it just like that, and it's done. This isn't the only way I'm growing tomatoes though. I'm also growing tomatoes up stakes too, like I have in the past. I've got some tomatoes growing in the back here, like this variety, one I love growing. This is the mushroom basket tomato. And I'll be growing this one up a stake. I still use the clips for the stake and the string, but growing up a stake is, I love doing it because you can put tomatoes in all random spots. You don't have to have a big area. So if there's like a little section where I feel like I can squeeze a tomato and grow it up a stake, it doesn't really take much space. So I just stick tomatoes in all different locations. I have about 20, 30, maybe 40 more tomatoes growing in the food forest that I'm gonna be growing up stakes as well. I don't have the stakes in just yet because I lost my connection to get my bamboo stakes, but I think I found a new one. So tomorrow I'm supposed to go over, pick up some bamboo stakes, and I'll be able to tie all these tomatoes to my new stakes. That's today's video, growers. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. Me and Tuck hope that you got some real value out of this video, and we hope that you try this method for growing tomatoes. We think that you will absolutely love it. It definitely changed the game for us. Not to mention, all the tomatoes you can grow in a small amount of space. Like I said before, 20 tomatoes in only 20 square feet with garlic between them. You just love it. Me and Tuck wanted to thank one of our new channel members, Deanna Mounts. Thanks for being a part of Team Grow. Thanks for having your hand in everything we're doing out here. We also wanted to mention to check out the merch down at jamesprigioni.com. Grab a Gardening is Life shirt with a flower of life on it and just be part of the team. We had a blast out here. We hope you did too. Tuck's wandering around somewhere. And we're so excited because we got the tomatoes in a little earlier than previous years because the weather it just seems like it's perfect. We had like an 85, maybe 88 degree day yesterday, and the tomatoes were just soaking up the sun. The other beds are coming in really well also. So we're just so happy that spring is here, and we're happy to be able to share it with all of you guys. Tuck and James will be back to you again real soon. We out.